Hey, Riff listeners, welcome back to another episode. Today, we've got a treat for you. We're sitting down with a staff member who is actually transitioning off our team. So we wanted to say thank you, but also highlight her journey and her story. Jeremy sits down with Ashlee Iseminger, who's been our Kid Point director on our central team for a number of years. As Ashlee transitions, she's set the table and the tone for what we expect out of our Kid Point areas and environments. She's led the charge through that perspective. And we want to invite you to this conversation so you can get to know Ashlee. The next time you see her, give her a shout out and say thank you for her years and investment into North Point. But let's dive into this conversation.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff. I'm excited that you're joining us today. And I have a friend who's with us, one of our staff here at North Point who oversees all things Kid Point from a central role. It's Ashlee Iseminger. So Ashlee, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
This is your first time on the show,
First
correct?
First time.
Can I, really quickly, how many syllables are in your last name?
A lot.
Is it Iseminger or Eisminger? Because I shorten it.
I think it's supposed to be ice, like ice, baby.
Okay.
But really, however you can get that out. I married into that sucker. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Eisminger.
Yeah.
Man, I've been saying IZ all my life, but from now on, be my accountability partner on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So tell us a little bit about the Eisminger family.
Okay, so I am married to my husband, Jason. I often say is the better half. He is everything I'm not. Great guy. Kindest guy you'll ever meet in the world.
He is a good guy.
Great dude.
Good wiffle ball player.
Oh, he's a fan. He's a fan of wiffle ball. That's true. I forgot you did that. We have one little guy.
Do I not talk about it enough?
The finger.
I feel like I talk about it every time I can. So I will make sure that I'll never let you forget about it. Okay, right. So yeah, Jason is one of my teammates. So
yes,
continue.
I forgot that.
Jason, you have another one of my favorite humans.
One of mine too. We have a 10-year-old named Lincoln. He's a great guy too. We are in the preteen stage, which is fun and interesting and very different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Now, Lincoln, he's got a favorite college basketball team, I believe.
Oh, you guys share that little commonality here.
Gonzaga Bulldogs.
He's a Bulldogs fan.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, one of my favorite North Pointers. So, okay, so what is it life like on the Eisminger family farm? Because you have a farm now. You have, tell us a little bit about...
People raised in the city probably think we live on a farm. We really just live on 10 acres. We have 10 acres.
That's like a petting zoo.
A very small one.
Okay.
It's a very small one. We have chickens. I'm a chicken mom, proud chicken mom.
Yeah.
Love those. And then we have the best of both worlds because we have friends that have cows on our land, so we're not actually responsible for them, but we just get to see them every day.
See, that's just fascinating to me that that's the best of the world, that someone that you know lets their cow hang out on your yard and you're excited about it. So hey, I have never been there.
You can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl, I guess.
Well, let's pull that string. Tell us where you're from. Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I grew up in Salem, Missouri. So it's like halfway between here and St. Louis.
Is that the home of the witch trials, or that's a different Salem?
Different Salem, but
that
there's
throws
rumors.
out the next 10 questions of my podcast.
There's some rumors.
Salem, Missouri. This is more floating river rafting.
Yes, Current River. Yeah,
Current River.
That's kind of the draw.
Okay.
Maybe one of the only ones.
Okay.
But yeah, super small. So like 3,000 people, one stoplight growing up. There's like 4 now. So they're growing. They're up to 4,500. So I wouldn't change it. I loved growing up there. Not what I wanted to choose for my family, but great place to grow up.
You still have family there?
Yeah, all my family's still there.
Okay, so, and where did Jason grow up?
He grew up here.
Okay.
He is a North Side Springfielder. And listen, North Siders, it's like a thing.
He's Hillcrest, right?
Yeah, you stay North Side. That's why we had to live in Willard. You don't go south.
Yeah?
Can't do it.
Yeah. I think it's South Side don't let you come down. So I think that's how it works. But
it probably is.
So how did you all meet? Tell us about the love story of Jason and Ashlee. Jashlee.
So I worked at a nursing home. I originally was going to become a nurse when I grew up.
I did not know
this. You didn't know this?
No.
Okay, so I took care of his grandma, and she was a spitfire.
Oh, this is where most Nicholas Sparks movies start, right here.
Yeah, maybe a little more scandalous.
You're taking care of Jason's grandma.
Yes.
Wow.
And then her husband passed away pretty suddenly. They were old, but it wasn't expected. So I was spending extra time with her, and we were going through family pictures. And I was like, dude, who's that guy? Why haven't you told me about him? And I've never seen him here. And she's like, oh, that is my favorite grandson, Jason. He doesn't live here. I'll bring him by to meet you. And I was like, okay, joking with her, of course.
Yeah.
And then we met, hung out, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Push your grandma to the side.
It was like said, we loved her. She was great. She actually passed away 10 days before we got married. Yeah. So super bummer. But also it was like physically she wouldn't have been able to come. So it was kind of like, we get it. You couldn't be there. But sad. We wish she would have met Lincoln. She would have loved him. Loved him. Yeah. So that's how we met.
I don't know anyone who doesn't love Lincoln, to be honest with you.
He's a treat.
So how did North Point come into the picture for you?
Well, really, I was a stay-at-home mom. So I had retired from working. I had decided, and I was happy as a clam. And somebody said, hey, we have this position open. You should come and apply for it. And I said, no, I don't need to. And they're like, yeah, come on. You could do it. It's super part-time. And I was like, nothing ventured is nothing gained. And
I'm going to write that down.
Nothing ventured is nothing gained, for sure. So I applied, somehow got the job. I don't know, totally underqualified, like zero credentials to work at a church or with kids at all, except for maybe I was a parent. And then here we are. It'll be 9 years in October.
Wow. Okay, so now full disclosure, there was a day you tried to quit.
Oh, I did. We're going there.
Yeah, for sure. We're going there.
Okay.
Well, we'll share appropriate information, right?
Right,
you know, you don't need to say you quit because of me or anything like that. But you did get to a spot where you're like, this isn't going to work, schedule-wise.
For sure. So at that time, we were Saturday, Sunday services. And I want to say we were at 5 services at that time. And I didn't
You
get
were
a day
working
off.
Springfield campus.
Yeah, it was at Springfield campus. And I didn't get a day off with my family. And so I'm like, man, and it was a struggle because I loved it. I still obviously love it. And I'm like, I just don't think, like, when I'm 80 and I look back at my life and I'm potentially on my deathbed, am I going to regret putting this job before my family? Because, I mean, realistically, I only got 18 years with my kid. And really, by the time he's 15, 16, he's probably going to be pretty done with me, if we're being honest.
I think you got him till he's 23.
Maybe. But thinking, like, can I put my job before my family? And we're an infertility couple. A lot of people don't know that. So that maybe, I think, helps us be a little bit more intentional with our parenting and thinking that, because we wanted it for so long and didn't think we were going to get it. So now it's like, how do we make the most of the time that we have now?
Wow.
Because it goes so fast. The kid's 10. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
So I did try to quit. I did.
I remember in I think it was your farewell staff meeting, I was like, man, I'd like to fight to keep you on this team.
You did.
And we created, I think it created some type of central role, and Central has grown since then. And tell us a little bit about what that structure looks like, of how we provide. We're going to get into family life. Today I want to talk about how do we come alongside the families and really provide life-giving, faith-filled resources. But tell us a little bit about what that looks like at North Point as far as Central campuses.
Yeah, so
What do you do?
Central is for sure like an insider term, and people are always like, what does that even mean? Somebody asked me last week. So Central is any department that helps with all campuses.
Yep.
So then our Kid Point directors are all of our people that are at a campus running that. So
we have Central staff, campus staff, Dream Center staff. So 3 major functions of North Point. Yep.
Yeah. So centrally, we really provide any curriculum, anything, if we call it global, if it's going to go out to every campus, all resources, events that we're going to do at any campus, any promo for any special event would be us, things like that in a nutshell.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what does that weekend experience look like? Most of our parents probably haven't sat through one of our weekend Kid Point experiences. What does that look like for the kid?
Yeah, for sure. So, and 2, I want to say, like, when we say the word parent, I think a lot of people think mom and dad. So really, when we say parent, and you'll hear us use big person in Kid Point a lot because, by the time they get 10, big person sounds kind of like weird. They're like, hey, I'm too cool for this. So really, parent does not in our mind necessarily mean biological mother, father. That means any person that is bringing up a child.
So in our setting, that could be what?
It could be anything. It could be
grandparents.
It could be 2 moms. It could be 2 dads. It could be an aunt. It could be a cousin. It could be a friend. We have a decent foster child community that comes with us.
Absolutely.
So it looks a lot of different ways, and that's okay. It's a beautiful thing, and we love that we get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So really, our experience, we start. So we're birth through 5th grade when you hear the word Kid Point. So it's a pretty big range. So we have our nursery, which is our little babes. And really our goal is to keep them happy so that their big people can enjoy a service uninterrupted.
I'm going to start calling our adult
big
community, hey, big people.
Hey, big people.
Yeah.
You're big people.
I like it. That's going to catch.
Hey, listen.
It's going to catch on.
You say to a kid one time, do we need to talk to your mom and dad? And say, my dad's in jail. Like, you'll never say that again. So I may be speaking from experience there. But then we go on to our toddlers and twos. We start curriculum at that point. So we do a Bible story. They do worship. And they have a little craft they do each week that comes home.
Even at 2 years old.
Even at 2 years old. We really, when our kids leave that nursery preschool setting, we really have three things we want them to know. And that's God loves me. Jesus wants to be my friend forever, and I can trust God no matter what. So those are our three, those are what we want them to know. So you'll see those a lot. Anything that comes home, those are the three phrases that we sort of see over and over and over again. By preschool, we get a little bit more structured. We have snack time, of course. That's a fan favorite for everybody. Got to have a snack. Yeah. So same thing.
That's complicated in this era, right?
Super complicated. Everybody's got an allergy.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And so we want to accommodate those.
Yeah.
Luckily, most of them are easily accommodatable. So if your kid has an allergy, totally let us know. We will get whatever we need and do whatever we need to keep them safe. Because that's the big goal, right? Like, you're leaving your most prized possession with us. So we want to make sure we're creating a space that is safe and helpful to you and your family.
Okay.
For
so
that.
What kind of curriculum or for that 4 or 5, what does that look like?
It's pretty similar. So they'll do like an opening game that brings home, we call it a bottom line. That's kind of a phrase. That would be that Jesus loves me, those three things that we talked about just a second ago, that we want them to sort of drive home. So it could be anything that could keep a 4 and a 5-year-old entertained. Think that. A lot of matching games. We like to get them up and moving because they got a lot of wiggles that they got to get out. Then we do the video. That's the Bible story. Ollie, if you've ever heard your kid talk about Ollie, he's kind of famous. He's a little owl that comes to us every weekend, and then he opens up our Bible story. So if you ever wonder who Ollie is.
Ollie the owl.
Ollie the owl. He's a famous guy in our parts in preschool.
Real owl?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't say. I mean, they probably think so.
What if they're listening right now? You just
He's
ruined
for sure
this.
real. We don't bring an owl and sit him on
That's probably safer.
A little bit safer. And then we have a craft and snack time.
Okay. And then what does it look like? Is it 1 through 3 typically, or different campuses as far as grades?
As we move into elementary?
Yep.
So elementary is a little bit different at each campus, but primarily we keep kindergarten through 3rd grade together. Okay. And that's for the large group time. So in large group, we'll go over the Bible story, the memory verse for the month. We have a new memory verse every month. We'll go over the bottom line. That is a key phrase that we want our kids to remember for the week. So it could be, I can trust God with all my heart, or something that is a 5 to 6 word phrase that sort of goes along with the Bible story we learned for that week, but something they can remember easily.
Yeah.
Then we do worship. We always have worship, and always a game, because games are fun, and we like to have fun. Then we move into small group time. Small groups we divide by age. So we keep kindergarten and 1st grade together, 2nd and 3rd grade together, because developmentally they are different. So we want to make sure we're giving them resources and teaching them in a way that's helpful for them. So small group time is really our meat and potatoes. So really, we think, obviously we're Jesus followers. The most important decision a kid can make is to decide to follow Jesus, right? So we believe our best way to lay a foundation for that to happen in Kid Point is through small groups and providing them with a consistent adult each week that can partner with their parents and with them, because parenting's hard. It's awesome, but it can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about this Kid Point Buck thing. Every kid I see running around in one of our lobbies wants to show me their Kid Point Bucks. What's that about?
Yeah, so we say what gets rewarded gets repeated. So we have Kid Point Bucks and a Kid Point
$5
store.
if you repeat that.
What gets rewarded gets repeated. I probably learned that from you. That sounds like a Jeremy phrase, right? So those are things. So we give those out for all things like bringing a friend. If they bring back their devotions, each week your elementary kid will come home at the beginning of the month with devotions for the week. That's 4 activities that really are designed to drive every week. 4 activities. They're simple, they're fun, but they go along with what we learned in Kid Point each week. So if they bring those back, if they participate in worship, because sometimes dancing is a little bit hard, but it's a little bit encouragement, remembering their bottom line, their memory verse, committing that scripture to memory, naming all the books of the Bible. We had some kids that were real overachievers, And we had a prize, and she did the math for how long she was going to be left in Kid Point. And she's like, hey, if I did every single thing every week, I still can't get that. So how do I earn more? Will you cut me a deal? And I'm like, I won't. But I will give you more activities to earn some more. So then learning all the books of the Bible and memorizing extra scriptures.
With the wrong person.
Oh, for sure went to the wrong person. For sure. Anybody else would have been like, of course, baby. I'm like, nah, girl, you can work for it though. And she did.
That's good.
She did. Yep. So that's Kid Point bucks.
And then, and why would we do that? Why do we want to motivate them, to do this? What's our bottom line with that?
Our bottom line really is we believe that getting in scripture is important.
Yeah.
We believe that bringing friends to church is important.
Yeah.
We believe that creating the rhythm of spending intentional time with Jesus is important.
Yeah.
So how do we help create that habit within them now so they don't get to adulthood and be like, what does this look like for me? Because I think that's hard for a lot of adults. Even I struggle with it sometimes of what that should look like.
Okay, so now, and I know you all just got back from a conference. You're very connected to national voices of family life, strategies and methods and ministries. What are you learning about, how do we prepare each kid so that they will stay engaged? What are we learning about kids as far as church engagement?
Yeah, what's interesting is, for years, it was always middle school is the first time a kid disengages from church. That middle school, high school age is when they're like, church isn't really for me. But really over the last 5 years or so, it's really that 4th and 5th grade age. So what's a little scary about that is they still come to church every week. They still sit in our classes. They participate in our games. But in their minds, they've already decided, I don't really think that church is for me. I don't really think it's my thing. And listen, that 10, 11 age is tough because they're not ready for middle school stuff yet, but they're way too cool for the lower elementary stuff. Yeah. So that's where you saw us. We separated out our 4th and 5th graders a few years ago, and we do that at every campus because they needed that. But they say the number one way to keep your child engaged is to give them a serving opportunity, because that helps them find what is their passion within the local church, what is it that can fuel them and keep them engaged. Yeah. And it's serving.
So what are some of those serving opportunities? What could that look like?
So we have an apprentice program. We had to pause that during COVID, but we're slowly kind of bringing that back. That changed things for us a little bit. So then once a month, they can come and they can help. They can start in small groups. They can learn how to do tech, doing production, which sounds scary. It's not as scary. We've got a really easy system for it. Even things like greeting. Sometimes even just for some of our new kids to have a buddy who sits with them if it's their first time, it can be kind of scary to walk into those places. There's multiple opportunities.
Wow. So if you're a parent listening, that might be a great conversation to have with your kiddo to say, hey, heard about this opportunity and we'd love to help make church not something they endure, but something they enjoy.
Yeah, for sure.
I dig that. So, our target audience is a church. And as I'm talking on the weekend to the adults, we're trying to make it the kind of experience and environment where you might not have any church background and it'll still hopefully make sense and maybe be helpful. So that's our target. And what we've seen is people come to North Point who don't have church background and aren't yet following Jesus. And then we want to continue to see that. But I would imagine that impacts what kids we have compared to maybe if you're listening, you grew up going to church and everyone there knew different things. How does our church's mission impact how we lead in the Kid Point areas?
So what's interesting is we have a lot of volunteers say, I learned so much from serving back here. And it's true, I even learned things that I've forgotten or I didn't even know. And I will say kids are profound. The things that they can find and the pieces they pull out of our curriculum are just amazing. The other thing I want to say, our kids experience a lot of stuff, a lot of tough stuff and a lot of really fun stuff. So it's interesting to get to come alongside them. But the beautiful thing about our curriculum is it literally tells you step by step. It will literally say, and now say, okay, today, here is what we're going to do. And it gives you word for word what you're supposed to do. So if you are nervous about that Bible knowledge, we don't need you to have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John memorized before you can come and teach a kid. It's about building relationship. And we set it up in a way to where it can be simple for you to do and give you all those cues to do it.
So what do you look for in an adult volunteer?
Oh, man. Really, the interesting thing about Kid Point is it does not matter your personality type. We have a spot for you. There is everything from prepping curriculum. If you're more of like a behind the scenes, very organized person, if you're like, hey, I don't really love kids, because a lot of people say that. And like, we get it. Like other people's kids, it's different than your own. Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of us think that, but to say that's a whole new level.
So many people say, I'm an 8 though, so I'll say it. Like it doesn't bother me. So other people's kids can be intimidating.
Right.
But really, our ministry is so multifaceted because we're really trying to create a space not only for our kids to lay that foundation to know Jesus, but we're giving their big people the opportunity to also take those next steps. Because if you've ever had a kid on your ankles in service, it's not helpful. And it's very distracting. So personality, man, if you like to have fun, I'm actually not that fun. I'm not the funnest person.
It's not true. This is one of my most fun podcasts I've hosted.
You probably say that to everybody that comes in here. Like,
I do, but this is when I mean it.
This one is the truth. But really, it is just about connecting with our kids and building relationships.
Right.
And if you can do that, man, we've got a spot for you.
So one of the things that I just love is that we have kids who drag their parents to church. And, you know, that's not always been the case. And there's been times where, you know, whether maybe we didn't have the right volunteers, mobilization, curriculum that was landing right or whatever. There's been times where parents were like, man, I enjoy my experience here, but man, my kids aren't connecting. And I always was praying for the day where like parents like, I'm really not into what you're doing, but my kids love it. They drag me here. And I see that happening. I see kids loving to be here. And you all have, you know, whether it's an obstacle course day or different days, you have big days for kids to be motivated. Why do we do those things?
So we try to do those once a month, and that is strategic on our part. We want to create a piece that's invitable. So we want a piece to where you can bring your friends and something you're excited about to come and do, and that anybody can do. So if you show up for the first day and you didn't know it was pajama day and everybody else is in pajamas, that's a bummer. So we never want it to be something like that. We want it to be something everyone can participate in. And then you come, you have a good time, and then, hey, check out the Kid Point side of it where we learn about Jesus, and it's still really fun.
I mean, that's pretty deep, even that thought of thinking through strategically, what if someone shows up for the first time? How do we make this a good experience? And what could be super fun for the insider
For sure.
might be super awkward for the outsider.
You bet.
So you also talked about a lot of our kiddos. I would say probably a higher percentage of our kiddos than most people's background of church kid ministry experience come through tough situations, have probably less expectation or understanding of Scripture for a lot of their stories. What do we want them to know?
Oh, man, listen, one, we have the best team. And I'm sure if you put anybody on this podcast that has a team, like we have the best volunteers in the world. And I would go up against anybody to say that.
Who do you think would be second on our team? I'm just kidding. It's awkward.
After, when we're done recording,
okay.
we'll talk. No, I'm kidding. So really, like the people that we have, they truly care about every kid that walks through our doors. So what I love is we have people that will figure out like, okay, you're just hungry, so we need to buy something with extra protein for you every single week. Or you maybe don't have a positive male role model, so we need to put a male in your life who's here consistently because you don't have that at home. And so, or we even had somewhere you're very scared of male or female because of what your experience at home has been. So it's really a case-by-case basis. We have some nonverbal friends. So we're brushing up on our sign language to figure out how to communicate with them so we can make that a win. So it really is where partnering with their big person of, hey, give us some tips and tricks. And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. So then it's just really trying to figure out how do we make this a safe space for you and for all of our other friends that are here. And really our goal is for whatever our kids are going through, because some of them are things that we can't even imagine. And then other ones have awesome lives that are normal, or what we would consider normal, right? To where you got two parents at home, you're doing whatever you want, no real trauma, right? But we want to make sure that everybody that walks through our doors can drop any stress, any worries, anything they're facing, and know I am safe, I am loved, and I'm cared for while I'm here.
So have you seen students have that personal encounter with Jesus? What does that look like in that kind of setting?
Oh, listen, it's so different. It's so different for every kid, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so different. Like all of them, they're all so similar but so different, which is such an oxymoron. So you see that where like you may have 4-year-olds that are like, I love Jesus, I want him to be in my heart. But then you see like these 10 and 11-year-olds really wrestle because they're very concrete thinkers and very literal. So it's like, wait, is he going to like actually be in my heart? Like, what does that look like? Like that. So he's going to come inside and it's like, no. Like, so to get those literal thinkers to say like, hey, I love Jesus and I think that I want to live this way, man, it's one of the funnest parts of it.
Yeah. We have, when we have baptism opportunities, I've seen students get in there, and some of them, you know that they haven't seen a whole lot of life yet, but from their perspective, what they see, they know they want to follow Jesus, and sometimes I'll see their big person get baptized, and I always say, hey, I'm proud of you, way to model that, because I love it when transformation happens in a family and that you don't have to have a certain background to find a spiritual journey at North Point, that Jesus will meet you where you're at and take you from here. And I love that. And I know that's messier. I know that involves a lot more patience. I would love to for you to talk a little bit about just resources. One of the things that we want to do, we want to provide the kind of church experience on the weekends that kids want to come more than ever. But we also realize in this part of human history, that's not the case for everybody.
For sure.
So our task now, provide the experience that is attractive, but also provide the resources that will help people at their place on their pace. What kind of resources are we cranking out there that maybe a parent might not be tapped into?
Absolutely. The Parent Q app is an awesome one.
And they can find these.
Look in the App Store for is it Google and Apple?
Yeah.
I'm not good at tech.
Yeah, no, I think you crushed it.
You look that up in the App Store.
Yeah.
It's called Parent Q, and that's CUE. So that one what's fun about that is you can plug your kids into that and their ages. And so we have this, you'll see it in dedications coming up in a couple weeks.
Also, you can check out our show notes. We'll drop that in the link.
Oh, yeah, we will.
The resource page. We got resource page. It'll be right there. You go there. So
yep, get that. So it does this horrible countdown that tells you how many weeks you have left with your kid until they graduate, which is kind of a bummer. So we only have 936 weeks with our kids from the time they're born until they graduate high school, which sounds like a lot until you see that little ticker going down every single week. But get on there, and you can replay the Bible story video. It has worship videos.
So you can watch what your kids just saw this last weekend.
100%. You absolutely can. The other thing that's really
Ollie
helpful,
the Owl included?
Ollie is on there. If you go to that nursery preschool side, you bet you can see Ollie.
Okay.
Yeah, the big kids, they're kind of too cool for that. Yeah, but the So-and-So show for our Zone 45ers, that's funny. That's a great show. You should I watch it every week because I think it's funny.
That's my age range.
Right. That's my target. I like that. So with that also, I think sometimes as parents, we overcomplicate conversations about faith. And so the other thing that Parent Q will offer is conversation starters for you to have with your kid. Because I know sometimes, even for me, I'm like,
every week.
Every single week. And they're open-ended questions. So you can just start a dialogue with your kids of.
So I've talked to a parent who says they bring this up on their phone when they're driving, driving the kids to school. And earmuffs, kids. The kids don't know that. And so he'll just kind of casually look for the next question and toss it out there. Yeah. And he says that's one of his weekly rituals.
Absolutely. Car time is one of the best times because they can't go anywhere, which when they're little, they're strapped in. But when they're older, man, they've got phones and tablets and other things. But that's a great place to have a conversation.
Okay, so you've got Parent Q. We're sending them home probably. We used to do it all printed out. I know that we do printed out because we have it electronically now. Yep. But right now, media probably has a lot of parenting. Anything there, or what are the kind of resources we got?
There's some VeggieTales on Right Now Media.
Talking vegetables. Yeah, yes,
Where's
please.
my hairbrush? Yeah, still got that memorized. Yeah. There are for sure some things on there that you can look up for parenting research. I want to say, I think I saw Intentional Parenting by Doug Fields. That's a great one on there. I don't know if it's still in there. We need to check that. Yeah. We'll drop that in the link too.
Anything Doug Fields would be great parenting, family life resources on Right Now Media.
Absolutely.
So, if a parent is out there, or maybe it's not a parent, maybe it's just somebody else at North Point who believes in the mission of what you're all doing, of introducing people to Jesus and helping them in their journey, how would they take a next step of saying, hey, I would like to get involved. I would like to help. What does that look like?
Absolutely. So it's super simple.
Okay.
All of our volunteers undergo a background check because we want to make sure that we are keeping our kids safe.
Absolutely.
So the first step and we'll put a link in the bottom of this for this as well, but you can go onto the app or to the website, northpointchurch.tv/kids.
Yeah.
And it is right there. It'll send you right to a link and start the process.
Yeah, that's great. And so we have every campus. You have someone who this is their biggest passion is to provide that experience for you, and also to build and mobilize a team of volunteers as well. And so. Yeah, I love that. I love our Kid Point team. I say this, if I see this in the lobby, any of our volunteers who wear those Kid Point shirts, I always say it's my favorite shirt at North Point right there. I love those shirts. Now, we've had some really cool shirts out there. I think our merch team does a great job, but Kid Point shirts, still my favorite, because I love it when someone says, I want to give back and help out these students. My life was shaped. Very much, I'll never forget Dana and Mary Horton in my life. When I was in 4th grade, they were teachers, and I missed one week, and we never missed. My parents made me go to church all the time. I missed, I think, maybe 2 weeks in a row some summer, and they sent me a pack of baseball cards in the mail with a note that says, hope to see you soon. And to think, as a 4th grader, I remember that now. It's been 10 years ago now. Or so. But I still remember that because I had an adult who I knew talked about Jesus. I don't remember what they told me about Jesus, but I knew it was important to them, and I knew I was important to them. And it made a difference.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's
I know
true.
that you're doing that. I know your team is doing that. Thank you very much. Thank you for not quitting back when you wanted to quit.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm glad I didn't.
And if you're there and you've got cows, you don't know where to put them, sounds like Ashlee's place. So we'll drop your address on the show notes down below.
Just come on by.
Just drop
we'll
by.
Them all.
Surprise party.
Did you see that mini donkey at Easter? I mean,
I thought those were 2 guys in a costume. Was that a real donkey? All right. Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Riff. Ashlee, most fun podcast I've ever been a part of.
Stop it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. Submit a question for the podcast at northpointchurch.tv/podcast. We'll have a brand new episode every week wherever you find podcasts.